Hello and welcome to the MVP Show. Today we have Tomasz, all the way from Poland, Warsaw, Poland, talking to us about his experience in running online events with the COVID-19 situation. He's got some brilliant ideas around, off the back of a SharePoint Saturday event he just ran, which was totally virtualized. And lessons learned, tools to use are all discussed on the show, as well as him becoming an MVP. Full show notes can be found at nz365guy.com/203. Now let's get on with the show. Tomasz, welcome to the MVP Show.
Hey, hello, Mark. It's a pleasure to be here with you. Thank you for the invitation.
Excellent. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this because I don't know if I have recorded, I think, one podcast with somebody from Poland before. Now, is Poland your home country?
Yes, Poland is my home country and my capital, Warsaw, Polish capital, is my hometown.
Wow. Okay, so tell me, when I was living in London last year and I traveled a lot of Europe, and Poland was one of those places I just didn't get to, and I really want to go to Poland. What do you recommend as the places I should see or things I should do in Poland?
Well, that's a quite hard question because Poland is spread from mountains to the sea. So there are a lot of monuments, a lot of places that you should go and see once you visit Poland for the first time. But for the maybe the first trip that you are taking into Poland, well, you should obviously go to Warsaw and see the capital. It's really changing for the last years rapidly. Then I would be thinking about Torun. This is a city where, we have the gingerbread that is very famous, and also the Copernicus was born there.
Mm-hmm.
And then I extremely recommend going to the seaside and seeing our beaches because, our seaside is very beautiful. We have golden sand and quite nice water as well. So
interesting. And so do you if you go for a vacation out of Warsaw, where would you normally go? Do you go somewhere else in Europe or somewhere within Poland?
That actually depends on the situation. So I love going to the seaside, as said. There are like two kinds of people. You can split us into two kinds, mostly everything. Like those who loves mountains, the others who love sea. So I'm the person who loves sea. But speaking about holidays, right now, as I have children, we mostly always choose a destination abroad where we have this guarantee of a good weather, warm weather, and warm water. So it's usually somewhere more to the south of the Europe, like Spain or Italy or...
Like Spain. Yeah. Makes sense. So you said you had family. Tell me a bit about your family.
Well, that's just a regular family, like 2+2, 2 boys and us 2.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, they're like 7 and 5 and extremely equipped with power and energy. So it's kind of a struggle to survive on just 70 square meters. But we recently just bought them the ladder, the one that they can climb on. So they have no place to just consume their energy, and it really works. It really works well. That was a good buy.
So, we've been in lockdown now for some weeks with this COVID-19. What's that been like for you?
It's actually nothing new because I'm working remotely for over 4 years or even 5 years. So it's not that something I've never been done before. I have my own office. It's like 2 blocks away from my flat. So even under this lockdown, I'm allowed to go to work. It's just a regular travel to work. And so I have this comfort to work from this my small office. I'm here alone. There is no one else apart from me. And I'm not actually meeting anyone on my way to the office. So that's really secure and that's fine. But what is different because of this lockdown is the whole situation about the community and our activities as the community leaders. As well, we have to call us this way, like the MVPs. And so I'm trying to do my best to anyhow engage with the community, but I really miss a lot those in-person activities, in-person conferences where we were able to not only join with our friends from the community with other MVPs, but as well with the just regular attendees that usually have a lot of questions to us.
Do you think that's going to change anytime soon? Like, we've gone from a time when there's been, lots of Saturday events. There's been lots of, you got user groups, you've got conferences, and what do you think the outlook of this is going to be in the next probably 18 months?
Well, that's a good question. So first of all, you are aware as myself that Microsoft already announced the position that they're going to shift or move all these in-person conferences to online for the next 18 months. And I honestly don't believe that we will have any big conferences this year at all. So, I mean, I really gonna cry a lot about like European Collaboration Summit or the SharePoint conference that we're also going to have in Poland, in Europe. And I just somehow don't believe that this will really take place in person this year. And also this density and intensiveness of other activities like those meetups, as you mentioned, this is something that will be, I believe that the governments and countries, they will somehow try to regulate this on their own. Maybe those small meetups for like 50 people, they will take place, but the bigger events, this is going to take, I think, at least 10 months or 12 months to somehow back to this normal situation. And that's something that we've been talking about within the group of the organizers of SharePoint Warsaw. We already did an online event on 3rd of April. I just missed the numbers. And we're also thinking about doing the in-person event in September, but we already started a discussion that what if we are not allowed? What if the Polish government will not allow us to do this in person? Like how to interact with the community? What other ways of doing these online events can we propose to make those more interactive? How can we as well engage sponsors so that don't let them think that because this is online, this costs zero, but what we can offer in return for their money. So how can we change our thinking about those online events to make them, apart from all those difficulties, still engaging and interactive and interesting for the community?
A lot of people, the scientists and stuff are saying is that until we have a vaccine, things are not going to get sorted out in that respect. In other words, there's always going to be risk of contracting this. So if that's the situation, and we now, let's say the next 18 months is only virtual events, and it's interesting that you say that. How, can you pay, charge for a virtual event but you've still got costs to incur, right? We're not all Microsoft that can, absorb the costs and just put it under a heading of marketing, for example, or take the marketing budget. How do we as a community run effective events? I mean, I know you've got some experience in that space. Tell us about what you've learned so far.
So our 4th of April SPS Warsaw was meant to be the 5th anniversary. So we were planning a lot of activities around that. And then this whole situation broke out and we didn't give up. So we're still in a position that, okay, so we were already communicating this event is going to take place, so let's make it virtual. And that was kind of a quick hit because we decided like 3 weeks before the actual date. So we moved this event from Saturday to Friday because Friday is usually a day where most of the employees are working a little less intensively. It's also a day where probably most of people are taking some trainings as well. So we picked a Friday and we decided to make this in Teams, but not to make this a streamcast. I mean, not to stream it actually, but to do it in a regular meeting approach so that all the attendees will still have this opportunity to interact, to ask questions, to ask them both verbally and written, to even share their desktop if they want to show something. So to have this interaction at the highest possible level. And so we're not really counting on having more than 250 attendees per session. And it worked. So we didn't have that much attendees. We created a separate session a separate meeting per each session. So that way it was also then easier to collect the recordings and then to create the recordings for YouTube. And when I was just reviewing the survey just minutes before the call, and we have a very positive feedback around the conference organization, about this interactivity that we are really hoping to give the people as much as possible. So speaking about the future events, I would really think about Teams as a platform. I'm really hoping to have a lot of new updates from Teams in the following days. Like we already had that we're going to have this 9-on-9 grid by the end of April. I'm really hoping for some sort of breakout rooms or whatever else that can be given, so that we will be able to create this experience of a lobby and then rooms where users just can go and watch the sessions. And also, for the end of the event, we did the virtual SharePoint. So we somehow turned off the recording and invited everyone to just grab their own favorite beverages and join for a free chat.
So did you say it was a virtual SharePoint?
Yeah, that was a virtual SharePoint.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Excellent.
Yeah, for the next events, as speaking about the sponsors, we are also thinking about doing those virtual sponsor sessions, and maybe to just give them the full day of a session where anyone can join and just interact with them as a sponsor to ask the questions about the products and so on. So let me just pause on that one, because I'm interested here in your thinking, because a lot of people are asking, what happens to sponsors in this new world? There's not going to be an exhibition space for them. So just tell me, how do you see the virtual sponsor running? Walk me through the logistics of it. Well, I can't unveil everything because that's kind of just a draft thinking, draft ideas. But, a lot of things that you were able to do in these in-person events, like giving them a roll-up in every breakout room, or to give them the breakout session, or to give them the opportunity to interact with attendees, that's actually possible even with the virtual approach. But what we are thinking of is just how to motivate or how to stimulate the attendees to actually go to this dedicated session for the sponsors and interact with them. And I do have ideas around doing like a virtual raffle as well. So there are ways to also encourage people just to go and ask questions to sponsors, and then sponsors would be able to give them something in return for the interaction. I have ideas how to make it, so I just have to polish them and make them really live.
I'm quickly writing notes. Because this will help me kind of feel my way through how this can all work as well.
Yeah, it's like I started a small think tank with the group of with the closest friends from the community on what we can actually do to make those events more interactive and more engaging. So like one of the friends suggested, hey, maybe we should do the next conference on Minecraft. So maybe Minecraft as a platform.
So just jumping back to the sessions that you've run, and you said you didn't use you didn't use the live functionality of Teams. You just used the normal meeting functionality, which, if I remember right, has 250 attendee maximum attendance, right?
Today, yes, it has 250.
Yeah. And of course, 4 videos can be on screen at once, with the intention shortly coming out 9 potential videos, or you can see people. Now, how did you facilitate the kind of switching between your presenters in those sessions, making sure that questions were answered? Did you let people just come off mute and ask questions at a particular point? How did you manage all the chat that would be going on at the same time as well?
Right. So there was one moderator per each session, and our role as the moderators was to monitor the chat and then to ask questions from the chat to the presenters in the proper times, like when they were doing the gaps. Or I also we also asked the presenters to make those gaps and to as well ask the community, ask the attendees if there are any questions, so that if they were doing this session normally in the breakout room, so just follow the same advice, the same like behavior and steps. Just make gaps, ask if there are any questions, answer the questions. And then if there were questions on the chat, we're the ones who are asking them. And also we're responsible for muting attendees if they were joining unmuted, or if they accidentally unmuted themselves and just doing this echo or noise in the background. And it really works. Like one person, one moderator per each session was very enough. We had at a peak moment, I think like 60 attendees per session. We had just 2 tracks, so we are still able to manage them in parallel. But then if you have more tracks, if you have bigger session, bigger conference, you just need to gather a bigger team of moderators just to manage each session separately. And actually, I was thinking that, hey, what's the difference? What is the difficulty to just make an online event? I would have a lot of time to work in the same time as a conference is going on. But in the end, it turned out it was not actually possible. So I spent a whole day on these sessions just to do this moderation, to turn on recording, turn off recording, ask questions from the chat. And actually, I was not able to work at all that day. And I think I spent more time with the speakers and during the sessions as if I had when this conference was in person, to be honest.
Did you have any drama or any problems with, for example, in Skype for Business, there used to be this functionality that you could upload your presentation before the meeting starts. So let's say your PowerPoint was 200 megabytes in size. You could upload it and then present that PowerPoint, and it's really coming from the Skype for Business server. And therefore, it's a very good experience for the end users. Currently, that functionality doesn't seem to be in Teams. Is that right? Do you still just need to present your desktop or present the app? And, if it...
Yeah, so there is an option to present the PowerPoint as well. But to be honest, I don't know if this is just the PowerPoint presented from your computer with some enhanced functionalities, or is it uploaded to Teams server? That's something I don't know, actually.
Yeah. One of the other dramas I had last year, I presented on Teams to different user groups around the world. And I had embedded video in my PowerPoint presentation, right? So I actually embedded video in there where I'd interviewed some people, and the audio didn't come through to the attendees.
So our biggest concern was that just before the conference, there were reported continuous issues about the recording of the Teams meeting when there was a content presented. So the users were complaining that although the grid is being recorded, the presented content is not. So that was our biggest concern, that, hey, because we wanted to record the sessions and then share them via the YouTube, but in the end, it turned out that everything is working smooth. So that was fine. But so that's speaking about that issue that you had. So we also had a recording with Jeff Tipper recorded beforehand. It was like an invitation for attendees, and we asked presenters to play it before their sessions. And the audio was just a matter of configuration, so that there is a small tick box or just a switch in the settings of the Teams to play audio from your computer. So then this is being played over the Teams. But the problem was with the vision, so that I don't know what kind of connection, of internet connection you should have to really play that video smoothly. But that just wasn't working. So we asked attendees just to watch that video on their hand, on their side, and that didn't work. So playing videos on Teams is not the best idea.
Yeah. That's where I thought if you could upload it to the server first, right? If you could upload it to the Teams server first, perhaps it'd get a better streaming experience if it came from there rather than, coming off my local computer out to, 250 odd attendees.
That's possible, yeah.
Okay. Well, look at this. We've gone through our time already just talking about conferences and events. Just quickly tell me, your area of expertise when it comes to all things MVP. What's Flow, Power Apps, or Power Automate, Power Apps? What else?
Well, it's basically just a Power Platform. So it's Power Virtual Agents, it's UI flows, Power Automate, Power Apps, all these things that are under the same brand. So I'm not really specializing in any tool the most, I think. Maybe.
But didn't you come from an Intex background?
Yes, I do have an Intex background. So that what I wanted to say. So maybe something that I really specialize the most is Power Automate and UI flows right now.
Mm-hmm.
But actually, I'm just trying to cover the whole Power Platform topics.
Yeah. So you became an MVP. What, last November was it?
It was last November. Yes.
What's the best thing about being an MVP in your mind?
Actually, an access to the knowledge. So that's something I was really missing. But with being MVP, you have access to those under NDA information, PGI calls. And also what I value the most is the possibility to actually just talk with any Microsoft employee over the Teams. That's a huge benefit because anytime I have an issue, I'm just able to find the right product group manager or a developer or someone and just write directly on Teams. And that's a very fast communication and helps to solve issues very fast as well.
I like it. Okay, this has been great. We're coming up on our 25-minute mark. One of the things I always like to do is run through some quickfire questions. This is not relating to being an MVP or anything like that. And if you don't know the answer or can't think of an answer, you can just say pass. But are you ready?
All right, let's try that.
Okay, what show on Netflix do you binge watch?
Lately, it's been this one with Almodovar. Not Almodovar. about
not Tiger King.
Not Tiger King. I just watched one episode and that was enough.
Yeah, same here.
Narcos Mexico. That was the one. I was just.
Yes. Very good. Okay, what was the first concert you ever attended?
It was a jazz concert, just a camera one, small one. I've never been to a huge concert, nice. To be honest.
Would you rather give up your smartphone or your computer?
Computer.
Okay. If you could never work again for the rest of your life, what would you spend your time doing?
I was thinking about collecting olives and just having a herd of goats.
Nice. I love it. I like goats too. Goats are incredible creatures. Have you ever been told you look like someone famous?
Yeah, I've been told I look like Jim Carrey, or maybe more.
Oh, wow.
Or maybe more act like him.
What's the hardest decision you've ever had to make?
I can't think about any of at the moment.
So this must have been the hardest decision. Okay, Tomasz, it's been great to have you on the show. Actually, before you go, how do you pronounce your last name?
It's Poszytek.
Excellent. Tomasz, it's been great having you on the show. If people want to follow what you're doing on the social media side of things, where can they find you?
Well, they can find me on Twitter is the first place. I also run a blog and I'm on LinkedIn. But actually, Twitter is the first, let's say, tool of contact.
Hey, thanks again for listening. I hope you've enjoyed the show and learned a little bit about perhaps running virtual events, as well as Tomasz's history. If you would like to be part of the 90-Day Mentoring Challenge, or if you've not heard of the 90-Day Mentoring Challenge, it's a free program that I run every year for a 90-day period. You can find it at nz365guy.com/90daymc, or just go to the website and click under the heading of mentoring. Full show notes for this episode can be found at nz365guy.com/203. See you next week.